There is no furry community. Or at least the way we all think there is. I wanted to take a moment to discuss something that's been frustrating me and has been endemic to the fandom for a while, and that's the idea of the furry community. I just watched a video about the fandom's toxicity by Beta Eta Delota, and while everything he said was accurate and I do recommend watching it, the fandom itself isn't toxic. Its members can be, but there is no furry census. You see, calling all furries as being part of the fandom is casting a very wide net. With the definition of a furry being so vague and open, it's hard to discern where we as a group stand on certain topics. And that's because there's no one group, there's no furry consensus, there's no leadership or structure, there's no government or regulation, and this can lead to the fandom as a whole to carry conflicting ideals, and can get very confusing. Now, I'm not recommending that we get more established and ascribe to a singular ideology. That's just dangerous and can alienate people. But every time something bad happens in the fandom, we say, the community won't stand for this. Well, who is the community? Is it furry Twitter? Is that the community? The board of directors? The chair people? Is it and I hate that I'm gonna have to use this term, but it's relevant, the popufurs? Does the fact that they've risen to popularity give them the say to dictate what's right and wrong for the rest of the furs? Or is it the con-goers, the fursuiters, the YouTubers? Not everybody in the fandom has the same religious views, personal values, morals, political affiliations. Hell, we can't even agree on Paz vs. Maz. And while I know that's lighthearted, I asked, who are we? Now you may already be thinking, well, Velvis, it's all of us, of course. We are the community. And while that's delightfully vague, I come to think of people like Milo Yiannopoulos. Granted, he was being a troll, but I'm trying to avoid talking about Key Who Shall Not Be Named. When Milo announced that he was a furry and was gonna attend MFF in 2019, a sweeping majority of furs online made enough noise to have him banned from the con due to his political ideologies that most other furs disagreed with. Now, if 99% of the fandom dislike one furry, you can bar them from cons, block them from social media, remove all contact with them, but they don't stop being a furry. Take that one guy, for example. The majority consensus is that he is bad, wrong, doesn't hold the fandom's values, and we do not accept that type of behavior. But he still has followers, fans, defenders. Who are all of those furries then? Not in the fandom? A separate faction? Are we going to split into like 5 different distinct groups and have a furry Keyblade war? Wait, that actually sounds kinda cool. There does seem to be a herd consensus on most matters, but there's still many who disagree, and therein lies the true threat. Everybody believes that the fandom belongs to them, and they may be right. For many, our personas are deeply personal. The friends we've made, the fun we had, and the things created are all unique to our own lived experience. And most of us grow thinking, well, this is what the fandom is. So, when a dissenting opinion comes along, or another furry comes by acting a damn fool, it's easy to get angry and say things like, this isn't what the community stands for. But it is what that group stands for. Now, if you're like me, you're already running into a wall. Who gets to decide what the rules are? We don't want too much more structure, because that takes away from the fun, creative, and open, accepting nature of the fandom. But on the other side, we can't then go throwing up gates and barriers to entry with rules, standards, and expectations. We don't want to create an environment where we tell the rest of the fandom, there are a few at the top who make the rules. Most of our current rules come from the mob, but not everybody agrees with the mob 100%. So the solution is just to stay vigilant. The anonymity in the fandom being majorly online, and the added anonymity of a persona, can allow for a lot of filth, scum and villainy to slide in and masquerade as if they are just along for the fun. And that's where I understand a lot of parents' concerns for young furs. But for us to pretend like it doesn't exist makes it harder to identify. The fandom belongs just as much to the mob as it does to a single individual, and should be treated as such. But for our own sake, the sake of the defenseless, and the sake of our public appearance, We need to take great strides in identifying threats and swiftly making it present that they are not welcome. This is where I'm scared, though. This isn't a call to arms. I don't want pitchforks and mobs and burn furs swarming people for mistakes that are correctable. People grow and change and should be given the opportunity and time to grow and change. However, there are some things and some people that are indefensible. Pedophilia, zoophilia, grooming, sexual assault, racism, sexism, any of the bad isms, all fall into a world where there is no gray area. There are those within our community that believe that some of these things are okay or have some sort of justification. And I'm saying right now, though it may be easy to hide and slither around in the fandom, those people and those ideals are not welcome. At least by me. And I'm just one furry, but I know the majority of y'all agree with me. We can't ignore them and say they aren't a part of the community. Either they are a part we need to be hyper-vigilant of, or there is no community at all and everybody is an individual. I'm not saying bad people should be welcomed, and it's not just a few bad apples. There are whole communities of shitty furries. Think like a soul. Every soul has both light and dark. Ignoring the dark doesn't mean that it's not there. Unfortunately, those people are a part of our community, whether we like it or not. If it turns out that tomorrow we find out that Donald Trump has been a furry his whole life, besides that being hilarious, he is still part of the fandom technically. So what is this ambiguous, amorphous blob of a community that we all feel a connection to? Well, it's really just a connection between us and the escape. It can be therapeutic, and discussing the escape is for another video, but since our connection to this community isn't founded on anything solid, it's going to change shape with every new member, and sometimes it might look pretty, and other times it might look like a bunch of misshapes and right angles. But as long as the herd mentality keeps true with doing what is right, and pushing the bad stuff to the elephant graveyard, we will be okay. It will just be a fight that will unfortunately never end. I am not a representative of the fandom, and I don't get to make the rules either. I just know what I think is right, and how I will approach the fandom moving forward. With furs growing in population fast, and cons returning in the future, it is the responsibility of the ones who can, when appropriate, to say, hey, this isn't right. Anyway, that's all for now. I will expound more on topics like the furry fandom and the escape, and the positives and negatives of the adult side more in the future. But I'm sure Atris will swing in at some point to do something unabashed and embarrassingly cute before then. Until that time, thank you for watching, and I hope that I helped the fandom move closer to being a better and safer place. Even if it was one small step. Like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you all next time.